saying it, this also has a hub as well. But I think we're gonna have another evil. The cult of the Green God, Great Green God.
It might be nice. Come on, it might be. I
Overview:
want it to be a good group.
anomalous religion that arose in the ancient Egyptian Empire at some point during the 12th dynasty, centered on a worship of an entity of vegetal nature called the Great Green God. Apparently extinct for nearly 2,000 years, this cult has recently experienced a resurgence, especially in South America, and it forms of small groups often linked to extreme ecological movements and even eco-terrorists, often also linked to anomalies of vegetal nature. Foundation's possession of SCP-ES-041, an artifact of the great importance for the cult.
Definitely want to read that SCP, but yeah, let's look at the hub.
Yeah. Warning, due to recent archaeological findings, potential new revealed information regarding the modern manifestation of the cult of Great Green God, this information may be modified in the future.
Yay.
Oh wow, we got a good amount of information. Alright. The cult of the Great Green God is an anomalous relation of arose in ancient period, but is evidence dating back to 12th dynasty, approximately 2000 BC, during the Middle Empire. This cult worshipped the deity known as the Great Green God, whose existence as a real entity is still under discussion. Such cult would have been based in a small city located south of the ancient Egyptian Empire near the Nubian border.
Wait, did you say Nubian?
Nubian. Okay, Nubian.
Yeah, Nubian.
Like many relevant details regarding this cult, the name of the city is currently unknown. Apparently defunct for almost 2,000 years, it has recently experienced a revival, particularly in South America, in the forms of small groups often linked to extreme environmentalist and even eco-terrorist movements. Oh, Busta.
Yeah.
Sorry, he farted.
That's what puppers do sometimes.
Yeah. Unlike the rest of Egypt, which was unmarkedly polytheistic, this city worshipped the single deity, a god of nature, who had small forests and oases dedicated to him, instead of stone temples. This worship developed for at least 800 years, despite being a frequent conflict with the powerful Egyptian priestly class for not allowing the worship of any other god within their city, and also for not paying the tributes required for the upkeep of said priestly class. There's evidence of organized persecution against the cult for religious or seemingly religious reasons. As already noted, their refusal to pay tribute to the priestly class may have caused the cult to be outlawed and become a victim of deliberate effort to be erased from all historical records. This explains the many gaps in our knowledge about the history and culture of the cult of the Great Green God, and the contradictory theories made by the Foundation historians about the chronological development of this group of interests.
That makes sense. If I'm not mistaken, like purposefully trying to eliminate groups and people from history was something that happened pretty regularly in ancient Egypt when something was of particular disdain by its
It didn't
culture.
happen regularly, but they would wipe things or people out when they could if it did not belong
Yeah.
to their beliefs.
Yeah.
And at some point,
Yeah,
the
like
priests did eventually gain like a large amount of power, more than the king.
Yeah.
That's why the one king tried to make it so everyone were one god to try to cut down the power the priests had. He just did it stupidly and he fell.
and like that specifically like was the instance I was thinking of, because afterward, like basically uh they the country went through great efforts to try to basically redact every bit of information about him from history,
Well,
under the idea that it would also screw over his afterlife,
I think they
if
did
I
that
remember
in
correctly.
part because he tried to get everyone to stop believing in multiple gods. but also in
Well,
part
yeah.
because he tried to drastically change everything in such a short amount of time, and he moved the main city, the capital, to a spot that was basically dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It did not go
Akhenaten.
well.
That's who it was, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is Akhenaten.
Which
And
was wasn't he Tutankhamun's father? I think.
yeah,
Yeah. But the main thing I was honing in on is that belief that like getting rid of any mention of them from history would also basically destroy their afterlife as well.
that was their belief. If someone did wrong, they would be wiped out, but you weren't supposed to do that lightly, and they didn't do that lightly.
Yeah.
I think,
Okay,
as
that's
far
fair
as
enough.
we know, they've only done that to a very few amount of people. Ancient Egypt did.
Which is to say, from the sounds of it, this group seems to be one of the groups that
Yeah,
would have this fictional group is set up as having been given similar treatment.
Yeah. Alright.
Is what I was trying to get at.
yeah.
Alright. Culture and religious practices. The cult worshipped a god at first, syncretically related to the gods of fertility and nature, such as Kikwet or Menu, men for Greeks, and depicted in such a way as a green-fleshed man with a notorious erection. Seriously?
Bright, it's not that weird.
We're talking about old. We're talking about ancient deities here. It's a thing.
Yeah, during the age where people were not scared of boobs and dicks, it was part of the body.
Although he later acquired his own identity as a god of vegetation, or of all forests, oases, greens, and nenufars. Alright. The few surviving documents on their religious practices, including comments from the indirect sources, such as the Mechanite Book of Apostates. That's odd, because Mechanites are worshipped McCain, god of technology.
Yes. Oh my God, Bright.
Yeah.
Mechanite Book of Apostates. Do you know what apostates are?
No.
It is a term that is used to refer to people who are in opposition to their religious beliefs
Oh, okay.
or have left their religious beliefs.
Gotcha, now that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Indicate that they believed that plant flesh was a purer element than animal flesh and therefore more valuable. They were forbidden to eat meat or eggs, being strictly vegetarian, or to use any material of plant origin, which apparently extended to using wood to build ships or furniture, plant fibers for clothing or footwear, and papyrus for writing. This would explain why all the ancient cult texts are written on clay tablets, or parchment, or scrolls. They performed their rituals at night in oases or small forests near them. Possible exception are the catacombs found under the ruins of Mechanite Temple. However, it has not been confirmed whether these actually served as a temple or rather as a refuge in times of persecution. In ceremonies led by the so-called Green Men, although apparently they could also be women, who served as priests, herbalists, and community leaders. These ceremonies would involve all cult members, including children and elders, who apparently had to undress completely as a sign of humility. Their ceremonies also involved the consumption of the so-called fruit of life. Oh, that's SCP-ES-041. Okay.
Yeah.
In order to experience visions, and according to two papyri recovered from the library of Nag Hammadi, They would also participate in multi udinious orgies.
No.
Mul- multi.
Let's just say a multitude of orgies.
Lots of orgies.
Multitude of orgies with no limitations as to age or kinship. Um.
Right,
I guess
continue
that's
reading.
how people might have their
Oh wait,
own.
it's wrong. However, these are possibly false and injurious accusations made by the primitive Egyptian Christians. Okay, never mind.
We really need
I
to
don't-
start reading the whole sentence before reacting.
Yeah. Oh, we get a picture before we even read the SCP. SPES-041. There's one right there.
What are you trying to say, Jerry?
Jerry?
Keep going.
Oh. After they died, their bodies were not mummified, but buried superficially in order to serve as fertilizer, and thus become brother tree and sister grass. A process that would accelerate in some cases by ingesting seeds of anomalous plants, such as SCP-ES-041. This would also lead on occasions when cult members had to hide their faith due to persecution by the authorities, to the fabrication of fake mummies that appeared normal on the outside but were stuffed inside with seeds, sticks, dirt, and other waste. The forging of animal mummies was a severe problem for centuries, along with the performance of traditional Egyptian funeral. A related icon that appears with frequency is that of a lion mummy from whose mouth or belly emerges a stem with 6 leaves, ending in a water lily flower. Later, a simplified version emerged, this stem with 6 leaves and a water lily flower, which is the one most commonly used today. The exact meaning of the symbol, whether it's a representation of their god or a way for believers to identify each other, is unknown. So I guess we need to look at the SCP. Oh, we got a relationship with other groups of interest.
Okay.
Yeah, go for that.
It's not known if there is contact between the cult or and other groups of interest. The only confirmed cases being the person of interest Maximus and a single encounter with the Davite civilization.
Oh.
An investigation is currently underway with the Church of Santa Maria, giver of fruits, which I think is another interest we'll look at. A syncretic cult that combines elements of Catholicism, and the worship of Pachamama, Mother Earth Tomic goddess of the Incas, in order to investigate possible links between the two anomalous religions. Okay, so before, while in the past, the cult was appropriately persecuted by followers of McCain, at present there does not seem to be any link between them and the modern Church of Broken God. Update: SCP-ES-161 has revealed that there is open hostility between the two groups at a level that could be called open warfare, and that the Church of the Broken God is persecuting and murdering members of the Church of the Vine, although more detailed information on this is not currently available.
Huh.
The Church of the Broken God typically doesn't do that, so now I'm about what kind of. No, maybe I'm looking too much into this. I want this to be a good group. I want this to be a good group.
I mean, thus far, I wouldn't put them in good or bad. I'd put them somewhere in neutral.
Yeah.
It's just like thus far, it's just a funky old religion.
Yeah. All right. So now I guess we gotta look at the fruit.
Yeah.
Item SCP-ES-041, Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-ES-041 must be stored in a circular chamber 3 meters high and was crossed out 10 and 15 It is now 30 meters in diameter, with an air filtration capable of filtering all particulate matter, especially pollen. I called pollen Poland.
It's okay,
I
you have
love.
issues.
Listen, listen. It's very important that you don't breathe in too much pollen. Breathing in too much pollen may cause severe issues. It's kind of like breathing in too much New York City.
Oh my god.
Actually, that
It's not
makes
good for
sense.
the lungs.
Yeah. The internal temperature of the containment chamber should be at or below 5 degrees Celsius, with a relative humidity less than 10%, approximately 0.6 grams H2O per kilograms of air. Every 72 hours, 041 should be sprayed with undiluted herbicide, and once every 7 days, the chamber should be closely examined to identify and eliminate any plant material. No plants or plant-like organisms are to be brought within a, what was redacted, 100, 200, 300 meter spherical radius of 041. That's a big radius.
Yes.
Alright, description. Description. SCP-ES-041 is a life-size alabaster statue of a kneeling man in ancient Egyptian clothing, holding two vessels in his hands. On the subject's head is the headdress with the image of Wadjet, an Egyptian asp goddess. While the headdress is similar to Tezret, the reed crown of Lower Egypt, the statue is not thought to be not to represent any historical pharaoh. 041 is at least 5,000 years old, and is stylistically similar to other Egyptian art of the time, and has several anomalous properties. 041 is a much harder than non-anomalous alabaster, 9 on the Mohs scale, compared to alabaster, usually hardness of 2 to 3. It is extremely porous and can absorb large amounts of water, including atmospheric moisture. Despite its age, its surface is extremely smooth, appearing polished and reflective. The object generates -1. -1 is a variety of plant that grows spontaneously on the surface of 041. Even though the object is regularly sterilized and kept separate from other plants, when it first manifests, -1 instances take the form of moss of an unknown species, which DNA analysis identifies as closely related to the genus Sagnum?
Sphagnum. Yeah,
Sphagnum.
that's how I'd pronounce that.
After its initial manifestation, in a process that takes between 5 days and 3 weeks, -1 grows leaves, stems, and roots and undergoes an anomalous mutation event. DNA samples taken from -1 instances at this stage have been closely matches to plants commonly to the eastern Mediterranean, such as Cyperus papyrus, the papyrus reed, Phoenix dactylophila, the date palm, and Alea europaea, the olive tree. The development of -1 is slowed by adverse conditions such as a lack of water and low temperatures, but is never stopped completely. As it matures, -1 extends its roots into the ground when it reaches maturity and mutates once more, growing into reeds similar in appearance to apple trees in the vicinity of 041. The leaves of these trees grow in a variety of colors, and DNA samples taken from the stage do not correspond with any known species. -1 grows to a height between 3 and 4 meters, developing purple flowers, which, without any need for pollination, grow into fruits, designated -2. Similar in color and size to mangoes, with a white, fleshy interior filled with numerous black seeds. Chemical analysis has shown that this fruit is extremely nutritious, with a higher protein content than soybeans. It contains all the amino acids required by humans, and is extremely rich in sugar, fiber, vitamins, and minerals, even trace minerals not present in the soil in which it grew. Tests conducted with D-class personnel have shown that consuming 2 or 3-2 provides all the necessary daily nutrition for an adult human being of average weight. -2 also contains a number of psychoactive substances, including the primary psychoactive components of cannabis, THC and CBD, opium, morphine, and peyote, mescaline. This drug cocktail makes -2 extremely addictive and causes hallucinations in those who eat it. Consumption of -2 was an important component of the cult rituals in the Great Green God, who consumed it on a special occasion and called it the fruit of life. Alright. -1 is extremely resistant to disease, insects, parasitic plants, and fungi. Huh?
I was gonna say, I don't know if we're gonna get any more information about the organization from this.
Yeah, I was starting to think that too.
Well, there was actually, wait, hold on. There was something about an attack at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah, so I guess let's read that addendum.
Incident. Oh, yeah, this was talking about the incident before.
Yeah.
Incident SAL65235. 2 years after the containment of 041, the Atari Society. Wait, Atari Society?
Atari Society.
What are they
Wait, so a
doing?
different society.
What? You've seen redacted as an intermediately offered to buy the statue for a large sum of money. After Foundation refused, the Society offered to exchange 041 for a copy of SCP Redacted. When the second offer was refused, the Society attempted to use more aggressive methods, including the use of bribery, extortion, and physical threats to Foundation personnel. Well, that was stupid. After these attempts failed, the Atari Society redacted and proceeded to break all contact with the Foundation. At 2330, on Redacted, Site-21, a facility disguised as a solar power plant dedicated to the containment of plant-based anomalies, was attacked by a group of mercenaries hired by the Atari Society. The attackers, heavily armed and numbering more than 20 individuals, were attempting to acquire SCP-ES-41. After breaking through Site-21's initial defenses, they accidentally caused SCP-Redacted to break containment, leading to the deaths of almost all human beings in the facility. The attack ended with the deaths of 26 Foundation personnel and 17 mercenaries to capture 3 mercenaries and escape of redacted instance of SCP Redacted and an intermediate number of surviving mercenaries. While mercenaries did not acquire 041, they did successfully steal the clay tablets found with the statue. After this attack, Site-21 was dismantled and relocated. 2 days after the attack, it was discovered that Dr. Redacted and his family had been kidnapped 1 week earlier while on vacation. Dr. Redacted was found wandering the streets of Redacted, a coastal town in Portugal. Confused with no clear memories of the last several days, he was physically well with the exception of the markings of restraints on his arms and legs, but was clearly suffering from psychological distress. He could not answer questions about what had happened to him. When the house he had rented with his family was searched, his wife and 2 children located in a closet hungry and dehydrated, but otherwise unharmed. His testimony, along with the statements made by the captured mercenaries, indicated that the kidnapping was the work of the Atari Society, who had forced Dr. Redacted to reveal information about Site-21, so that they can plan their attack. Their goal was to obtain or to liberate, in their minds, 041, which they considered to be an avatar, physical manifestation of a superior extradimensional intelligence, although not a true god. Dr. Redacted is currently in treatment at a Foundation-owned psychiatric hospital. So I didn't even talk about this cult.
Yeah, so
Uh,
I think, like, based on current info, I'd put this cult in true neutral.
yeah.
Like, I don't know how else we would rate, like, the ethical nature of just, like, an old spiritual practice that's seeing a resurgence.
Well, we now know that the Atari Society
That,
got it's another fuck up.
yeah. That specifically that doesn't like go out of its way to cause harm to other people from the sounds of it, and what potential harm they do to themselves is like the sort of thing that you'd expect from older religious practices.
Yeah.